Yeah. 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 Bronx on the scene, nose to the ground, reads every scratch, every step, every sound. Dust on the boot, mud on the cuff, one wrong move and he calls you bluff. He found a lie in the turn of a face, found a fresh print in an empty place. Tail up high when the story won't blend, he don't bark loud, he just gets close. Damn, sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, 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 chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. Hey, hey. Idaho nights cold, over the floor. 4 names heavy in the whole town, so Bronx in the weeds where the silence stayed, digging for proof in the tracks it made. He found the gap in the masked up tail, found the bent clue in the buried trail. Bone white truth in the folder stack, one clean set in the case swings back. Sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, 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 chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. One paw print, one torn thread, one false alibi, falls dead. Chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, 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 corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose.
Hello.
What's up?
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's been a long week already, and it's only Tuesday, but hey, at least we're keeping busy, right?
That's the way it goes sometimes.
Absolutely. Hey, chat. What's going on with you guys? I hope everybody is good today. If you guys notice, first of all, everything's alleged in our opinion only. Second of all, if you notice down at the bottom of the screen, the ticker this time has the correct information. So I do have Travis's information up there. If anybody is feeling generous today, the information is down at the bottom. And I'm excited to tell you all that we did get Mason Barstow interviewed today. So it will be uploaded no later than tomorrow at some point. So just so you guys know, super exciting stuff.
Some breaking news.
Yeah, I've been calling her, and it's funny because she basically just straight up told me, I've been ignoring your call. Like, well, at least you're honest, I guess. I don't know. But wow. Yeah, call her. And then she finally called me back today and she was like, you'll have it in 10 minutes. Thank you, ma'am. Mason
Barstow. So remind me how does he play into this?
Mason Barstow was sleeping with Kaylee at the time, and he was really, really close with Xana. As far as all the other players in this case, he's pretty much one that knows or has a connection or a relationship to everybody.
Okay. Fantastic.
He's very talkative. He likes to talk. So it's interesting. Very interesting. Okay, you guys. So we are going to do the second half of the statement analysis with Dylan Mortensen. And Erin Williamson, who is with the FBI. And just to remind you guys, this Erin Williamson is a person for the FBI. I suppose I could say an agent, but she interviews children. So I still think that that is an interesting aspect of this. Was it because she thinks Dylan is mentally the age of a child? Or did they just maybe think that she had another way to pull some info out of her? I don't know, but maybe the fact that she sounds childlike. What do you think? Do you think that she sounds childlike because she's not the most frosted cookie in the batch? Or do you think she sounds childlike because she's good at playing the dumb, stupid, deflecting, I'm an idiot, I don't know anything, it was a dream?
Well, this plays perfect into just reflecting on our first, coverage of this and reviewing the rest of this interview. I feel like hand waving Dylan off as if she is psychotic or has some sort of mental inability, she's childlike, I think is a mistake personally. I really do. And the reason that I say this is, to me, it's obvious she is just lying all over the place. She's not crazy. Now she might be eccentric, she might be weird, she might be strange, in her own way. But I think there's a mistake in hand waving her way off as just basically, oh, she's just crazy. And to me, that gets her off the hook. That allows her off the hook, that nothing can be understood from what she said. And I think in a way that could be a defense for her. And I don't like that. And so considering the many problems with this case that I am being confronted with, this interview might be in some way, some subtle way to kind of, I don't know, defend her in a way. Oh, she says some crazy stuff, but, we had some specialists look into her and stuff like that. There might be some sort of subtle psychology going on there with the case. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll just say that just as a kind of preliminary foundational thing is, there is a theme throughout everything she says, almost completely, is she has a serious sensitivity regarding her own observational memory. What she has observed, she is psychologically distancing herself from it over and over and over again. And we're going to look at that more, but I just want to kind of alert that to everybody. Pay attention to that as we go through these words. Notice how she is avoiding talking about what she does remember, what she did see. And when she even begins to talk about that, she immediately self-censors. She's self-censoring all over the place.
Yes, okay. I noticed that. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. So when people see things, when they're like schizophrenic and stuff, they're saying, hey, I saw these things, or I'm imagining these things, but they speak of it as if it's real. She doesn't do that. She does not speak of it as if it's real. So anyway, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. She does not speak of it as if it's real. So if she doesn't believe herself, why would we believe her? But the reason a lot of the time we can tell that she's not speaking on it as if it's real, because she will start the sentence and completely stop herself to backtrack and turn it around to something else.
And that tells us she does know the difference between truth and reality and what's false. And she tries to say that she doesn't know what's real. Right. And that's a defense for her. That's a defense mechanism. And it is just another indication that her memory is extremely sensitive and uncomfortable for her to go into. So it's deception. It's just ultimately deception.
Yep, it absolutely is. And I find it interesting that when she speaks on something that's very specific, like let's say the mask on this intruder, she will purposefully remind the interviewers or investigators that in that moment, but it could have been a dream.
Exactly.
Like they didn't remember her saying that in the beginning, that listen, this whole thing that I'm talking about could have been a dream because I was sleeping, even though she wasn't. But
exactly. And can I go back on something that I think I
absolutely.
just really missed? Okay. So when we first started covering this, at the very beginning, she talks about, and we covered this, where she talks about a dream where she saw someone dressed in black, right? She says, that night I kept having dreams of someone just dressed in black. Like there was a dream that there was this woman who was just like pranking people. And she'd go to the houses and wear black, and it was like some joke. And I had meant to talk about this, but this is a very likely a leakage of a reflection of herself. And maybe I did talk about that, but I don't feel like I did. But this to me is leakage of her subtly telegraphing that this is her. You know, she's leaking this out, that this is just some joke and she's pranking. This is indicating that she is telegraphing that she is being deceptive. So oftentimes the deception comes in the form of truth, you know? And so the brain wants to tell what's true. And this would be a really good way of her to telegraph that, wrapped up in this deceptive package of it's a dream of someone else.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, especially in her journal. It's been said many times that she had a lot of writings in there that said, you know, I will be popular, I will be liked, I will make friends. And in this dream of this woman, she says, even though the woman is playing pranks on people, she's still really, really nice. She's super nice. Everybody likes her because that's what she wanted for herself.
Exactly. It is concern for self. And that's actually the second thing that I wanted to talk about, is there is a theme of concern for Dylan. Dylan's number one concern is herself. And even this image, this dream of what appears to be a reflection of herself, she speaks kindly of this woman. She's nice.
Yep. And it's very strange. I want to say thank you to So Much Corruption for the 5 gifted memberships. So cool. We appreciate you. And of course for Karmic for because you both kick major ass and are so appreciated. Thank you both. We appreciate you so much as well. Thank you for showing up for us every single time. We appreciate you. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into where we left off last time is, let me see. Where were we at? We're pretty sure we're close to it.
I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around page 33.
Do you know which line, or do you want to just start at the top?
So, yeah, but then again, I'm pretty sure somewhere like where Erin says, okay, Dylan says, so then I lock the door again.
Okay. What happened just before that? She heard Kaylee sobbing in the bathroom, and then she heard the voice of, it's okay, I'm going to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then Dylan said, so then back to the bathroom scene. And that's line number 4 on page 33. Am I going too far ahead?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. No, not at all. I'm right here with you.
Cool. Yeah. So back to the bathroom scene, which just sounds scripting. Sounds like scripting, right? We talked about that, I remember.
Yep. It does sound scripted.
Yeah. And then Dylan says, so then I locked the door again. I don't know if I called or texted Bethany about that. So right off the bat, I don't know. She talks about what she doesn't know all over the place. In fact, I searched it and I just lost track of how much she talked about what she didn't know and didn't remember. It's unbelievable. But I knew like no one was answering. So she says that. So I didn't know if I called or texted Bethany, but I knew like no one was answering. There's another huge theme throughout everything. She caveats with like, and I know people ask this, well, Well, she says it so much. Is that a part of her speech? Well, literally almost everywhere that I have noticed, the like comes in when she is going through her testimony, and they're in specific spots, and the like is there because she's non-committal. It's there for a reason. Peter talks about the dulled listening. We like to connect dots as undisciplined listeners, and we go, oh, that's just kind of part of their speech, and so we just write it off. And it might be, but we need to be objective and look for it, and be open to, actually it could be a form of deception.
Yeah, I did notice how many times she says the word like to fill in for what seems like another word.
Yes.
It's so often in this interview, she says a lot, and it's usually directly before any other sentence. But I now notice just in reading that she says the word like just as often as she says and she stops herself almost just as often.
Exactly. That's
I
self-censoring.
feel like she's censoring. I feel like she is very specific about what she's letting come out. So the fact that what she is letting come out of her mouth, it makes it seem even more purposeful what she's choosing to say.
Exactly. Like if you
scripted.
show me a liar and I will show you Dylan Mortensen. Like, this is a class in lying. The thing that I just mentioned here, I don't know if I called or texted Bethany about that, but I knew, here we go. I knew, right? She's talking about what she knows, like, right after that. But I knew, like, no one was answering. That's not accidental, right? Almost every single time she's talking about her knowledge, there are these caveats.
I had something on here for that. I just have to find it. I don't really remember where it's at. It also seems like when she speaks, no matter if it is about whose phone she called, who was in the bathroom, what the intruder looked like, if anything about Beth, it doesn't matter what she's talking about. She will make it seem like that she's not worried about anything, but then wants to make it seem like she's scared. I don't understand how she can be not worried but scared at the same time. To me, those go hand in hand.
And this is such a major theme with both Dylan and Bethany, and this is what I called Bethany's tightrope. It's the same tightrope Dylan tried to walk. On one hand, they need to talk about this intruder and that something was going on, and they did hear something. They kind of experienced something, and it kind of alarmed them, but not enough to call 911. In fact, in this interview, she talks about that. Not enough to call 911. So there's these opposing needs to talk about this intruder experience kind of thing. It wasn't us, there was someone else. But then an opposite need of, but I can't overdo this. It can't be too scary, because now it makes me look really bad, and I could be at fault for not doing anything to these 4 people who have been brutally stabbed to death. It's just mind-boggling.
Yep, it absolutely is. I also noticed another thing is that she will hyper focus on, I don't know how I want to say this. Let's say she's talking about the intruder. She will hyper focus on the mask rather than trying to tell them, what the person looked like. How did they walk? What did they smell like? Were their shoes untied? Was anything about it? She will hyper focus on something where she doesn't have to give any detail at all.
Exactly. Like, that is another form of deception, is to focus on details that are irrelevant. And so that is something in statement analysis we look for. What details are being provided? How relevant are they? And it's a tell. It's a huge tell. And not only that, but even when she is focused on something like the masks, she's non-committal. The mask, she says masks at some point, but she's non-committal about it and very self-censored about it, and goes flips and flops about what she, doesn't know, but maybe knows, and even talks about she has no idea how she knows, but it just came to her mind.
Yep. I mean, what she's describing could ultimately put somebody in prison for the rest of their life, whether they did it or not. And you're just guessing at skin color or eyebrows or like, come on, grow up.
How she got away with this, that's another question. One final thing I'll just say on this before we start kind of back at, cruising through this, is liars often will say things and they'll be looking at the person across the table from them to try to get some sort of reaction. And if they get a nodding of the head or something like that, they're like, okay, this part of my story is starting to make sense. And so we'll kind of go through that. So there's a lot of these, like, putting fillers out there, looking for a response, and liars will use that to do their manipulation.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay. So, this says, if anybody's following with us, we're on page 33 of the latest document that was unsealed that has the Gooch interview, the Williamson interview, and part of a Joe Lake interview. It's all with Dylan. So page 33:17, it says, but I opened it again and I just remember seeing like all black figure about my height, maybe a few inches taller. And he wasn't like very muscular or big. He was more like skinny build, but like, you know how basketball players are, more tone. Like they have muscle, but they're more skinny. Uh-huh. That kind of build. But it wasn't like I could fully see him. It was just like this figure. I just remember this mask. And I remember like I didn't see his eyes, but I saw like, I don't remember if it was just like one eyebrow or two, but it was just like this bushy eyebrow. And I don't know how I know, but I just knew he was white. Like I don't know where it's like how in my mind, it's just like he was white, but I just like, I knew that much.
Yeah, it was just magic. It wasn't. So really what she's doing is she's saying, I created that. That was something I created. I can't explain to you how I know. I just know. That's not, we have some sort of tip or some sort of observation. We don't just know things that are out of thin air. And not only that, but she says she saw a figure, right? A figure is, we understand that like a silhouette.
Right.
And then she changes it and she talks about a mask and then a bushy eyebrow. And then all these details come out. So this is this ad lib kind of creating on the spot. But I want to just back up to something where you said, or you noticed that she said, you know how basketball players are more toned, like they have muscle, but they're more skinny. This is kind of keying off Erin. She's including Erin. Hey, you know how this is? That's what I'm thinking of. It's a form of deception rather than I'm going to explain it to you. I don't need to include you into it. I can explain it myself. This is what I saw. I don't care if you believe me or not. This is what I saw. You know what I mean? There's two different things.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. I don't understand, especially with someone like her. It would probably have been a good idea for them to maybe ask her a whole bunch of yes/no questions. Stuff that you have to be nailed down to a specific answer. Yes or no. I feel like we would have gotten more from her from that.
Oh, she would have had a real hard time with that. So I'm seeing something in the chat. Be nice, and someone. How could you be mean? I guess we got someone. Some negativity going on. I'm curious about what that's about.
What? Where?
I don't know. I just keep seeing it. Yeah, I'm curious if there's a question or a concern about something that I don't know. I'm always curious about that. I like to field concerns and tough questions and stuff like that. So if you see it, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't know. I think everything's okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, they're trolls. They're trolls.
Yeah,
Trolls are trolling.
Could be.
All right.
That's okay. Let them do their thing. They aren't hurting us any. Okay.
Dylan saw the bushy eyebrow.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about that too, that you say your initial reaction for this was that Dylan made it up. She created this bushy eyebrow. What is so incredible about you saying that is in her first interview, she was asked, did you notice anything about his eyes or eyebrows?
Exactly.
And her exact response was no.
Exactly.
Like, what a stupid question.
Like, it was literally asked by Mallory.
Yeah.
I had it highlighted. I was actually going to bring that in too. Now I can't even remember where I had that. But yeah, exactly. He asked, did you see eyebrows? And she said no. And I don't even know what his eyes look like either. Right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. And it's funny too, because all of her art hanging on her wall has eyebrows all over it as well. So it's almost like a strange obsession for whatever reason that she had previously that she is sticking with and bringing into this. Actually, exactly. I want to, do you know if, I mean, it's kind of specific, but do you know if eyebrows have any significance to, is it connected with, you know, like the door is connected to
like in semen analysis?
Yeah.
Nothing that comes to mind. There might be, but I don't think so. Characteristics of the body. I don't think so. But you just reminded me of something when she talks about it's okay, I'm going to help you. Right?
Yep.
I rented that Vampire Diaries section where that's said in the Vampire Diaries. It's called Vampire Diaries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it just sounds weird right now for some reason. And it's really like not a significant part. It's just kind of quick and random. But it's just so crazy that those words are in Vampire Diaries and she uses those words. That is nuts.
It is nuts. It was on, I think it was last Wednesday. Either last Wednesday or last Friday. I did an episode and I connected all the things from the Vampire Diaries that were identical to Dylan's story, and every single one that was identical to her story was from one single episode. One episode, the same episode. I'm talking neck wounds and everything identical. It was wild. All the way down to the bell ringing 12 times. We hear the church bell ringing.
That. Yeah,
it was a church bell ringing. The town started on fire. I thought he was a fireman. There's just so many of them. It is wild.
So the brain has such a hard time being creative. This is such a powerful thing right here. Is she's stealing material to talk about X, Y, or Z. She's not a crazy lunatic who's making up all these things, imagining things that hallucinates. Like, you're underscoring the reality that this is higher intellect lying, taking material that is within her grasp, that is within her influence, within her experience, and reforming them and repurposing them to lie. Okay, we see that with fraud. I've seen that in specific religious stuff. That's a big question, is is when someone creates all these really fantastic stories in these details. And one big question is, okay, what was it? What kind of books were at their fingertips? What kind of movies were they watching? What kind of things would inspire this? Is this pure creativity coming from this mind? Or is this just repurposing information that they've gotten from their own experience?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I just looked up to see if eyebrows or bushy eyebrows specifically are tied to anything distinct. It doesn't really have anything.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't really have anything. I was just curious if that did, because we hadn't ever discussed that part, or if it was connected to anything, but it's not, and that's probably why.
If there was pressure from law enforcement to, hey, we need to connect a dot here, and we're going to keep asking you about eyebrows and maybe off the record kind of stuff, that would make sense too.
Yeah, that is very, very true. So, okay. Then she says that kind of build, but it wasn't like I could fully see him. It was just like this figure. I just remember this mask, and I remember like I didn't see his eyes, but I saw like, I don't remember if it was just like one eyebrow or two, but it was just like this bushy eyebrow. And I don't know how I know, but I just knew he was white. Like, I don't know where it's like how in my mind, it's just like he was white, but I just like knew that. And the mask, at the time, I believed it was just covering his, either, I think it was his chin, his mouth, and just his forehead, which I know it doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you have a mask like that? But I think it was just his chin. Maybe it was his mouth, like a mask, like this almost. Or maybe it was like on his chin. But it wasn't like it wasn't like I fully knew he was there. But like I guess I wasn't like comprehending anything. So that's why I thought it was, so that's why I'm kind of getting confused. If it was real or if it was a dream, because it wasn't like, oh, I know he's there, but it wasn't like I knew it was a dream. So it was just really weird. And I just remember seeing, like, I don't remember if he was walking or if he was running, but I just like remember this like figure that looks like a male in all black, and this just like some sort of mask, like a ski mask, like those ski masks, but I don't remember exactly, like it wasn't like the ones that had the circles, because it was like this, but it was almost like more of his face. Holy crap, this is difficult to read.
Which brings me to my next point. Kids, don't smoke crack. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Let's not do Borgs either, just in case, because that's what she was drinking.
So at the time, I believed it was just covering his. So this is a belief, right? This is a belief at the time. So, and now she is thinking more about it. There's more consideration. This is you just sit down with Dylan and new things will pop up out of the clear blue sky. And she is clearly ad-libbing here. It's obvious. And the reason she's having such a hard time and using the likes and all these fillers is because guess what? That brain is thinking. She's trying to come up with it.
Yeah. Man, I would like to be a fly on the wall during this interview, because I bet you could see it in her body language as well. Even if you don't know how to look at body language, I'm sure that you could just tell, like, her chest is tight and she's tense, and you could probably see it in her shoulders and everything, just by the way she completely stammers over every word she says.
Yeah. And she's being extremely careful to not say the wrong thing, to not, say things that will indicate she doesn't want to talk about what she knows. She doesn't want to talk about her memories. She's trying to focus on creating.
Yep.
And it's I mean, it's hard not to laugh as you're just reading through this, because it is just so false. It's so palpable how stressed she was, how difficult it was for her to avoid talking about things that would expose her guilt.
Right. Yeah. Let's see.
Like she says, I guess I wasn't like comprehending anything. I wasn't comprehending anything. Later, she talks about freezing and being so shocked she's frozen, right? It was so intense for her that she had such a hormonal change, such a, adrenaline shot, that she hit the fight or flight, but yet she's saying she's not comprehending anything. That it just doesn't make any sense.
Would that be leakage when she says she was in frozen shock because all of the doors were left open that night?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think and then this goes back to what we talked about, where she's like, what the F just happened? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what the F happened? There is a guilty shock. What did I just see? What did maybe I just do? How did things escalate so quickly and get out of hand? And now the reality is setting in, there is that shock. And I'm sure it's shocking to, I mean, y'all have been going through all the physical evidence of all the stabs, of all the injuries that these poor young kids experienced. It is mind-numbing. Clearly, Dylan experienced some of this. She saw it. She observed it. She heard it. So yes, very much so. There's a lot of leakage about that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Even when she said that, when she realized what was going on or whatever, she said, oh my God, what happened, or something like that. Why would you think something happened just because your roommates aren't answering the phone? Why would you automatically assume that something this bad had happened? No, you're spilling your guts, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just
exactly.
need somebody to catch it.
Yep.
Are you surprised that none of these FBI agents caught anything that she said?
It's hard for me to believe that they didn't. It's really difficult for me to believe that they were so incompetent that they just, oh wow, yeah, we missed all of this. I think that's the hardest thing to believe. I think there's something more going on. I think there was pressure of some sort of limitation, some sort of, hey, we're not exploring from this. This is what the big boss said. That makes a lot of sense to me. There's no way that someone who has at least some training can look at this, just a page of this, and not go, something really funky is going on with this person. This is clearly deceptive, I mean, I'm just some guy with some training from a private, statement analyst. I mean, we're just, so many of us are just civilians that just look at this stuff and it's clear to us. So I don't see how it's even possible that this just kind of slipped through. Oh, wow, we just missed all this. I don't know. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. And any person would look at this transcript and say, nobody talks like this.
Yeah.
Nobody speaks like this, when you're describing something that is factual, that you saw, that's truthful, there's no stammering and stopping and catching yourself and doing all the extra stuff that she does, changing tense, dropping pronouns, all that stuff. Nobody talks like this.
No. And I mean, what's even just more appalling to me is to take her statements and build a case on them, and use her observations and her statements as the guiding light to finding who did this. That is, to me, just unacceptable.
Yeah.
So something was going on. That's my opinion.
For sure. I agree with you for sure. Okay, let's keep going. She says, and I just remember seeing, like, I don't remember if he was walking or if he was running, but I just like remember like this figure that looks like a male in all black, and this just like some sort of mask. Did I already read this?
No,
I did not.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think she's just reiterating it.
Yeah. Okay. Now she's confusing me. Jesus. But I just like remember this like figure that looks like a male in all black, and this just like some sort of mask, like a ski mask, like those ski masks. But I don't remember exactly. Like it wasn't like the ones that had the circles, because it was like this, but it was almost like more of his face. I don't fully remember. And I just remember him like coming from the living room. I'm sure I'm going to, obviously, because he was going towards the kitchen. And I just figured he had gone out the slider, the side door. And then I like just slammed the door and locked it. And I was like, I remember texting Bethany, and I looked at these texts that morning. I woke up and I was like, I was not texting them right, because I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm so confused. And that kind of, when she says, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm so confused. Why, if she says she's not worried and she's not scared, then why is she sitting there thinking, what the fuck is going on? If you think it's just somebody that is coming in and out of your house because they're friends with somebody that lives there, why would you think a negative thought? Like, what is going on? I need to text or call my other roommate to see what's going on. If you're not scared, why would you think like that?
Yeah, and it's it makes sense. She is appealing to her confusion. You know, this is why I was so confused. This is her only path to being innocent from all of this and keeping her hands all cleaned is, I'm just confused. You know, please be kind to me and don't judge me. You know, this was all just so confusing. It's really a nasty form of, I think, deception here. Yeah, it's, to read this is wild. I did see something in the chat, well, at least a couple times, about obviously. Why did she say obviously? I'll just say this, but obviously is a form of, it can definitely be a form of a deception, because this is someone who wasn't there. She's talking to Erin Williamson, who was not there, and nothing is obvious to Erin. And so to insinuate, to use obviously, unless it's objectively obvious, it is most of the time just a form of deception. Like, basically, it's silly to think anything else. Obviously, because he was going towards the kitchen. Well, she doesn't even, I don't believe she even sticks to that. She changes her story there. At one point, she says she wasn't sure which direction he was going or if he was even moving. So obviously is a form of, it also might be a form of stress too, just an indication of just that internal stress going on with being deceptive.
I also feel like, and if you mentioned this as well, I apologize, I'll just reiterate it, but it's like persuading, which tells you that is deception, because why would you need to persuade the person you're talking to? Exactly. When you say obviously, it's it almost would subconsciously make the other person feel like, well, it's not obvious to me, so I feel like I'm missing out. So
Exactly.
obviously.
Persuasion has a need to persuade. And the more I marinate on this case, the more I marinate on statement analysis. That is just such a bedrock truth. It's such a bedrock thing. And it's something that I would just encourage all listeners and viewers to not overlook. If you are hearing something persuasive, something that is trying to persuade, it is, it might be deception. There is no reason, zero, for Dylan to persuade anyone of anything. She can just share her experience, just assuming for a minute that she is innocent and that she was just the kind of victim, a tangential victim of all of this. She was just asleep in her house and these horrible things happened to her. There's no reason for her to persuade anyone. Truth is the truth, and we don't need to reinforce the truth. We don't need to convince people of the truth. We just share the truth, and the truth is the truth. It's strong enough all on its own. And yeah.
Yep. Also, and this is kind of a given. Everybody knows this, but when you're telling the truth, you don't have to stammer over your words. You don't have to, in the moment, try and reach into your head to make something up and grab onto it long enough to speak on it. And it's like a whole extra ball game when you're lying, because your brain has so much more work to do.
Exactly.
And it's obvious just by listening to her statements that is what she's grasping constantly.
Exactly. Yeah. And I see this like with my children. If I say to one of my kids, something happened, I heard, maybe one of them's crying or screaming, or I can hear fighting. And I'm like, hey, what happened? And they all just kind of sit there quietly. I can tell they're thinking, what's the best way to say this to dad? Or if they're like, well, and they're stammering, it's like, I know that they're trying to push, they're trying to use the time to think of something, as opposed to when right when I ask them, and immediately they're like, this happened, and then he did this, and then I said this, and this is what happened. It's almost very likely true. There was no time for them to think through lies. It was just exactly what recorded from the brain, and it just came out. So,
yep, absolutely. And I think everybody can think back into a time, even a traumatic time, where you remember what happened. And I would bet almost anything that each and every one of us that does that can remember to a T what happened. And that story hasn't changed no matter how much time has passed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm glad you say that. And this is why statement analysis is best done with the most recent interviews, right? This is why I loved, thanks, JJPP 1987.
Thank you.
This is why interviews that are done a year, 2 years, 3 years later after the fact, it has a bigger asterisk next to it, because memories could be kind of messed up. It's like the fishing stories. At first, I caught a 2-foot fish. It was 24 inches. And then 5 years later, it became a, 36-inch fish. Well, what happened? Time, so that's why I like to start with those very fresh, those first interviews. Dylan and Bethany, it was that day. Peter was 5 days later. So there's no like, oh, well, maybe his memory's messed up, but anyway, you just reminded me of that.
Yeah, actually, I have a question on that. Is that how it works? Usually people, and I know they say this, but usually people remember more details when it's super fresh. The only question I have on that is, like, we'll take, for instance, Xana's dad. In the very beginning, he said, Xana called me and talked to me that night. Had I gone there to be with her because she said she didn't feel good, I would have been on the couch that night and you would have had to get through me to kill my daughter, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
But then he came back not
Later.
too long after that and said it was the night before. It was Friday was the last time he had talked to his daughter, Xana. So it wasn't Saturday night. But then when he turned around and did the victim impact statement, it went back to it was Saturday night. So I guess I'm confused. You know, did he have maybe time to look at his phone log and find out what, you know, the truth was? So I guess what I'm asking is that pretty much always how it is, where people remember the most right then and there when it happens, or the closest to the event?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to time and days, I mean, people make mistakes about that stuff, right? Like, they don't make mistakes about whether they were alone or not, you know, using we rather than I. You know, the brain doesn't have to like consider, should I use I here or we or they? If it's like, I went to the store by myself, you know, there's no, that process is just so fast. There's no considering it. There's no consideration there. So when it comes to a time or day, based on what you're saying to me, it sounds like the second time he misspoke, you know, and then later he may have corrected himself. And sometimes, I mean, depending on the situation, you know, maybe he was, and I would like to see those basic, by the way, I would like to see the surrounding context and see what kind of commitment level he had to those times, you know. Were there caveats in his language? Were there maybe hitches where he actually, there's indications that he was not 100% sure about that time, you know? Or was he very truthful in all three, and he truly did believe that day was the day, even though there were different days? But yeah, I mean, generally, the fresher it is in our mind, the more we remember, right? Memories, pretty sure that's scientific, you know. Now, sometimes people might, even though like you know, maybe it was a group experience, and you know, I saw this and this was my perspective, and then they are given their account, and then later they had talked to everyone else, and then they realized, wow, that also did happen. I completely forgot about X, Y, or Z. And then all of a sudden that comes into their language later, you know, things like that happen. And finally, I'll just say this is interesting about emotions. Okay. A lot of the time, if there's not enough time in between the event and the statement, there might be artificial implanting of emotions in a statement. So Peter would talk about this, where a guy's walking his dog just on the street, and all of a sudden a guy comes up and mugs him, and you know, pulls a gun on him, says, you know, give me all your money. And at the time, it was just bang, bang, bang. There wasn't a whole lot of emotions going on. It was just there was just time to react, barely enough time to react. And afterwards, after he gave the guy his money and then ran away or whatnot, then the fear and like, oh my gosh, I could have almost died there, you know. Then those emotions, that time was passed to where the processing of all those emotions happened. And so in statements, when you see the emotion in the moment, that's a lot of times that's we look for that as scripting, as storytelling of, you know. And then the hairs on the back of my neck started to raise, and they're telling this kind of movie-esque kind of story when it was just a bang bang thing. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it when you said that. Basically, when it applies to Dylan, she's telling more of like a movie-esque type of language is what she's using. And I think that's just what helps make it so stinking obvious too.
Right. And that can be convincing to some people, you know. It can be convincing. I mean, how many of these interviews at first it's like, yeah, I didn't really hear much, but then you sit there and analyze it, and it's like, actually, there was a lot more than what we thought. Deception does work. I mean, it works.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Thank you, Offset Guitar Tech. And
Like the guitar people.
J44330. J44330 says, I think it's because I heard her voice and she's probably singing. Is this tense shift a lie or her jumping back to that night? It sounds so weird. So the quote is, I think it's because I heard her voice and she's probably singing. Now, this is in reference to Kaylee dancing with Murphy to music in the living room. She says, I think it's because I heard her voice. I'm sure she was asked, how did you know it's Kaylee?
So I think is a caveat, right? I'm not exactly sure what that is, because is explaining why. I think it's because I heard her voice and she's probably singing. Yeah, so that is a current tense, right? I heard past tense, and then current tense, she's probably singing. That is really concerning for deception. Yeah, I mean, that is a lot of the time an indication of deception. We want to see congruent, flush tense usage, right? So, yeah.
Which one? So let's say somebody's using past tense to tell part of what happened because it's in the past. When they start to switch to present tense, does that mean that they're making it up?
So it could be. It is more often that we do not go into historical present. Okay. So a lot of the time, actually, historical present could be, I'm making it up as I go. Right. And I think I misspoke on this. I went back to, I think that it was Peter's lectures that I have. I can't remember. I've been combing through a lot of his stuff, just making sure my axe is sharp. And historical present tense is a lot of the time used as they're deceptively acting like they're going back in the past and reliving it, but they're actually living it for the first time in their mind. But it can be, I think about this example where some investigators were interviewing a woman, and it was regarding, I think, a potential SA event, where she said, and then I began unzipping my shirt, and she says, shall I continue? And the investigators just didn't say anything. And then she continues with the statement. And Peter said it was very likely at that time she was just going back into that moment and just retelling it. And her asking, shall I continue, was actually what she said at that time, as opposed to asking the investigators. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Interesting.
So there's not a clean answer there, but the changes in tense usage needs to be investigated as to why that is. That it might be a sensitivity indication of it's traumatic to relive that. So they might be talking in the present tense, and then at that moment they can't talk about the present tense. It's too traumatic for them. They have to talk about it in the past. That could also be a situation. So it gets all very tricky, and you got to think through, what is the situation? What are we talking about here? And are they avoiding talking about something, right? Because so much of deception is just 80% plus is just avoiding the truth. It's omitting.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so let's move on. She says, and I wasn't worried. I was just like, why the fuck is there someone in our house? Like it just doesn't make sense. And I remember texting Bethany, and I was like, there's a guy in all black. And Bethany had gone. Xana was wearing all black. And I think that's what made my mind think everything was fine. I also had text my boyfriend. I don't remember exactly what time. And I was like, there's someone in our house. and Kaylee said someone was here and someone was crying in the bathroom, but I don't understand what's going on. And he was like, well, you guys have a party house. Could it just be like someone had just been drunk walking through, and like people probably, there's probably a few people that did know our house code, because the girls before us had the same house code that we do now, and we've told our close friends, then stuff gets passed around. So when he told me that, I was just like not worried at all. I'm just like, okay, like, obviously just kind of freaked out. Like, obviously I would be freaked out if anyone was in our house, but I wasn't worried. Like, I wasn't like freaking out.
I just kind of freaked out. Like, I wasn't like freaking out. I mean, this is just so self-censoring. She is having such a hard time keeping her story straight. It's unbelievable. How did they not go, wait a minute, guys, what, we need to look at this girl more. Oh
yeah. I had something on, I gotta find it.
Okay, I'll say something while you're looking for that.
Okay.
So there's so many contradictions here. Why the F is there someone in their house? It just doesn't make sense. And then I texted Bethany. There's a guy in all black. And Bethany's like, oh, Xano's wearing all black. And I think that's what made my mind think everything was fine. Okay, cool. So everything was fine. My mind was everything was fine. Oh, wait, no, I texted my boyfriend because I was really worried. And then later, obviously, I just kind of freaked out. But I wasn't worried. Like, I wasn't like freaking out. This is just lying. This is someone who is struggling to tell the truth and can't get her story straight.
No, I didn't have anything for the freaked out stuff. I have it for the next stuff though. So I will just keep going.
Cool. Okay.
She said, and I was texting Bethany and I was like, I'm scared to run down the stairs because I have to go out of my room. Like, I'd rather just stay in my room. But she's like, we'll be together. Like, I think you should come downstairs. Something along those lines. So it's like I guess this would have been the 4th time I opened my door. I think so. Yeah. I sprinted out of my room to the living room my room's like right here. You go out, there's the kitchen right here, living room's over here. There's like this wall in the living room. I do have here where she says, I sprinted out of my room to the living room. I believe where she says I sprinted out to and then stopped. I think she was going to say something else.
I agree.
And I think that would have been too much leakage for her. So She stopped herself.
Absolutely. There's a reason she stopped. There's a reason the brain doesn't like to stop. The brain likes to go. The brain wants to tell. She is self-censoring. What was I sprint out to she corrects it and says out of instead of out to my. So where would she be sprinting from to go to her room? Where would she be sprinting from to then go to her room? There's only so many places in that house.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm so curious what she was going to say there.
Well, I mean, Bethany says we all hung out in Kaylee's room and then talked. So, I mean, I'm just imagining the absurd scenario that we're being confronted with here. We have this girl who's just opening her door and closing her door and opening her door and closing her door and meanwhile 4 people are getting chopped up to pieces,
Yeah.
And she's just having this dramatic this this battle with her door and opening it. I mean, it's absurd. Her argument, her defense is pure just absurdity.
Yeah, and the things that then when she goes to explain it, the things that she's hyper focusing on are things that nobody would focus on in this time. You know, she said in the beginning, you can hear everything in this house. So we know she could hear everything in this house if she was involved. And obviously, you know, we know she's hearing everything. But even if we put it into the story that she wasn't involved, but she was there, and this is all true, what she's saying is all true, even when we take that and pretend like that is fact, it still doesn't make sense. She still hears what's going on. So all of this is just her brain trying to give them something that they want, to speak words out of her mouth for an interview, but not give any information that could tie her down to anything, or it's almost like she's purposely being confusing.
I have zero understanding for how she could be an innocent person here, where she was just this person in this room while all of this happened, and she did not intend for it. She did not help set this whole thing up. She was not part of the unified plan, if there was one. She did in no way aided any of this to happen. I do not understand how that's even possible. It doesn't make psychological sense from even the murderer's perspective. Why would you have someone who laid eyes on you, who can give details about you, and you murdered, you murdered these people, and you're just trusting that Dylan will not say anything, to incriminate them, to help law enforcement find you. If we're just putting ourselves in the murderer's shoes, every fiber of my being would go, that is too much of a risk. There's just way too much of a risk to allow Dylan to stay alive. Had she's seen too much. Now, if the door was damaged because he had tried to, get in there, and by the time he killed all the other four, it had taken too much time, and she had barricaded. Her testimony is not that, though. The testimony isn't, this guy tried to get in and I locked my door, and that's the only reason I survived. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. Spot on, though. I want to say thanks to Exotic Foxhole as the lucid dream vampire queen needs some charges, in my opinion. I agree with you. If only,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Angel Heart says, Dylan is lying. We all know this. The following day, she and Bethany went to Boise. So Bethany wasn't as afraid of Dilly as we thought. Her parents then flew in to get her. Where did Dylan go? I heard Dylan moved in with a friend temporarily on the same street.
Really?
That's what I heard in the beginning. So if that's true, I guess she wasn't too scared of a random masked intruder coming back for her.
It's a great point.
Because she moved next door.
Well, this is such a big question, is why did she get past? There's only really one logical answer. There was some sort of unity. There was some sort of, either this was Dylan's family, kin, boyfriend, friends, something where there was enough trust in Dylan that she wouldn't communicate anything to get them in trouble. And to me, the only way that anyone would ever trust that is if Dylan got her hands dirty, because now she's in it with them.
Right. And so the perpetrators come in wearing all black with a mask. They're trying to hide their identity, right? Because I don't know, maybe somebody would see them and notice who they are. Because if you're going in there to kill everybody in the house, you don't really need to have everything hidden by a mask and black clothes, because you're not going to leave any witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
But Dylan was there, and you left a witness, and Dylan saw, you would think that she would be eliminated just for that fact that she saw him.
Why would you chop up 4 people and then just leave her unscathed?
Right.
Okay. Oh, well, Trav, it was law enforcement. You know, it was law enforcement did it. They would not trust Dylan to say anything. I just, that just goes against every fiber of my understanding of human, that it doesn't, it's too much of a risk. To me, it just makes perfect sense. It's a hand in a glove fit that Dylan either helped plan this, she helped aid them coming into the house, she did some damage herself at the very least, you know, helped restrain them, helped beat them, helped kill them, helped in some way. That's my opinion.
Yep, absolutely. So we were just talking about how Dylan said I sprinted out of my room, or whatever she was going to say, wherever she was going to say that she sprinted to. I just wanted to point out that sprinting implies that you're running from something, that you're running from danger, that you fear, and that there's an urgency there. So why are you running if you're not worried at all?
That's such a great point. That statement and analysis right there. I mean, sprinted of serious stress, of serious tension, and high alert, fight or flight senses here. I sprinted out to my, oh man, it's just gold. That she just leaked that. She leaked that right now.
Why are you running if you're not worried and you thought it was a fireman and it was somebody to help you, and you're so not worried that you don't call 911 to help your friends for over 8 hours? Then why are you sprinting? What are you running from?
Well, and you look at all of the self-censoring. I sprinted out of my room to the living room my room. She is. I think it comes right after she says, I sprinted out to that came out and is like,
She actually, I'm pretty sure she does this a couple of times. I know of 2 at least. It could be more, where she goes to say something and it would have been something telling on herself, and then she stops herself.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. This person is not imagining things. This person's not crazy. She knows what's true. She knows what's not. And she's walking a tightrope. She's self-censoring all over the place. We're seeing it over and over again. Yeah.
So she goes on to say, go to the living room, and it's like a pretty big space. And the living room to Xana's room, there's like a pretty long hallway. And I'm like where my couch is at. So I'm pretty far back. And I just see her laying there with like no pants on, which is normal for her, like with underwear. So like she was just comfortable like that. And I was like, okay, well, she's with Ethan. Like she had been drinking a lot, so she probably was just passed out, and I wasn't worried. And I just remember just like, it was just like I could see her legs and the top of her head. Like I couldn't like see fully anything. And also I was very out of it. Like I don't remember seeing anything weird. Like I was just like, she looks totally fine. Ethan's probably right there because they're always together, and Ethan slept at our house, like in Xana's room all the time. So like we loved having him there because we felt like more protected. Like there's a guy who's 6'3" here. Like, I wanted to point out here that like she says, like, I don't remember seeing anything weird. Like I was like, she looks totally fine. why would you even have those thoughts, whether she looks fine or not, if you didn't sense anything wrong?
Exactly.
You wouldn't be talking yourself into or out of the way Xana looks, whether she looks okay or not.
And knowing the damage that was done to Xana, this is really upsetting for me to read these words. I mean, I put myself in as a father to these kids in this situation, reading this. If this was my child, if Dylan was talking about my daughter like this, and she had just been hacked to pieces, she had just fought bravely for who knows how long, taking knives, taking stab wounds in her hands and her arms or whatnot for minutes, who knows, and blood everywhere. And to talk about Xana like this is why it's like, people are like, oh, she was kind of forced in this situation, some sort of blackmail operation, something to kind of defend and get Dylan out of this whole thing. This to me is such proof that psychologically she has no problem talking about Xana in such disrespect. It's such callousness. She was just comfortable like that. That is the what guilty people say about their victims. This is a guilty mind talking so callously to a victim with so much damage to her body. It's very upsetting to me to just read this. I mean, she's kind of a monster.
I mean, you have to be able to see that, to even be able to see that and speak about it to somebody else and not be emotional, not re-see it again in your head and it make you sick to your stomach, to just speak like you're talking about how you planted flowers yesterday about your friend and roommate's like horrific killing is odd.
It gives me chills. It does. This is a mind that has gone to very dark places, and it's creepy. It's very, very creepy. Look, if she was what I've seen people argue that she is, she would say, Xana was cut up and I was so scared. I was so terrified. I was terrified for myself. I didn't want to get killed. I ran down to Bethany's room. I froze. I was so scared about even making a noise. I left my phone up there, something like that, okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah.
That's not what she's saying at all.
Mm-mm.
She wasn't worried. She wasn't like freaking out.
Nope.
Yeah. Now, psychotic in the evil sense, psychotic in this person has a broken moral compass, okay, I'll buy that, but it is insane what guilt will do to people's minds. I think it really destroys people, and just for the self-protection of not going to prison and avoiding all that, they will say horrendous things. And if I was Xana's dad and I couldn't bear reading this, I couldn't bear to speak about Dylan, I would wonder every single day why Dylan was. I would be so mad at law enforcement. I just don't know what I would do.
Yeah. I remember when I found my roommate passed away, and there was no blood or gore or anything like that. But that was traumatizing, and I will never forget the way he looked. I could never imagine seeing my friend, my roommate, that much blood everywhere. I mean, there was blood dripping down the front of her bedroom door. How do you not see that with all the lights on?
She did see it.
Yeah, she had
did.
to have.
Yeah, but Xana was comfortable there. That is evil. That is really evil. For the sake of me not being busted, I will. It is just it's a natural thing of the guilty parties. They will besmirch their victims. They will speak ill of them. She was angry towards Xana. They had beef for some reason, whatever it was. There is justification here. That is what I see. There is this moral indignance. There's this contempt for Xana.
Yeah. So she goes on to say, and also I was very out of it. Like, I don't remember seeing anything weird. Like, she looks totally fine. Ethan's probably right there because they're always together, and Ethan slept at our house, like in Xana's room all the time. So like, we loved having him there because we felt like more protected. Like, there's a guy who's 6'3" here, like, you know. So I was like, okay, like everything's fine. Like, she's good, you know, but I was still sprinting. Like, I sprinted out downstairs. I was still kind of freaked out, but then like, I wasn't worried about Xana. Like, nothing was like, oh, I should go check on her. That was not in my mind at all.
And I believe her. That was not in her mind because she knew she was dead. You know?
Yep.
I believe her. And I mean, she's just contradicting herself over and over again. I don't remember seeing anything weird. Like, she looks totally fine, but I sprinted anyway.
I mean, you can't see Xana laying on the floor. You can't say I see her in her underwear. Her legs were facing this way. Her head was facing this way. If you're sprinting, how do you... She had to have spent more time looking or being part of it to know all those details. It's also funny how suddenly she's got details on something, but when asked about this intruder, she can never have a detail on them that is set in stone for her because she was either too sleepy, too drunk, too everything. And it just is surrounding this intruder that is totally made up.
Yeah, and or there's a defense for him. There is a need to obfuscate who this was, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And suddenly he was possibly her protector.
And it very well could be Peter. I mean, I am very skeptical about Peter.
Oh yeah. I was listening to your Peter assessment earlier today.
Yeah, he fits the bill, man. He fits the bill. I mean, there was a infatuation with Xana, it looks like. He had beef with Ethan. How he spoke about Ethan was creepy. He was known to be the last one. I mean, his whole, I hate to go off on a subject, but where...
No, it's fine.
Right there at the end where the detective circles back around and says, okay, so tell me again, you know, when was the last time you saw Ethan and Xana? And he says, oh yeah, at Sigma Chi, and then, you know, went to my apartment and they grabbed all their things, and the last time I saw them was at Sigma Chi at 1:25 or whatever. And it was just like, whoa, same exact thing. He just hit a wall. He stopped talking about it. His brain had said too much, and he just went right back to his script. It gives you the creeps, man.
It does. He also, just me knowing the timeline and things like that, he also gives some information that doesn't fit with any of the timeline that we know is factual. So that helps knowing that he's knows more or has something going on for sure.
Well, you all got that timeline down. So
oh yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. That was a scripted. That's my opinion based on what I see. It was that whole time. I mean, right from the get-go in the interview, it weirded me out that, hey, we understand, Peter, that you're one of the last ones to see him. You know, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk. Go ahead. And he goes, the Sigma Chi party ended at 1. And I was just like, it's a weird thing to say. It's just, I don't know. I mean, look, can I ask you something about that? Do they have scheduled parties? I mean, is that even a thing? I mean, have you heard about that? Like, the party ended at this time.
No, only if it was like a formal type party, but that was not.
I've never been to a party where it's like, oh, 1 o'clock, guys. Like
a college Greek girl party. Those people are out till 4 or 5 in the morning. Are you kidding me?
I've been to a lot of parties when I was younger. That never happened. Now, if cops came, party's done. Okay, that makes sense. Party was over at this time, you know?
Yeah, very strange. Have you gotten to listen to any of his second interview yet?
Well, I see someone just asked me about that Pooh Bear or whatever. Is Travis going to do part 2? I didn't get a bad feeling about Peter. Well, I am going to do part 2. I had a long discussion with my wife about this. I'm like, honey, I'm not going to do the next one unless you support it. And she was like, I want you to do Peter number 2. And I'm like, okay, awesome. So I think because I feel like I got so much from Peter 1, I'm not going to do the same exact thing this time. My understanding is a longer interview. I've only heard a little bit of it. How long is it? Do you remember?
I want to say like an hour and 15-ish minutes or something like that.
Considering that Peter's was like 15 minutes and it took me almost 3 hours to do it, that would be like 8 videos. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do my very best just to pick the main parts that I get out of it and kind of do just the major chunks. And so that's my plan right now. So
awesome. I mean, you could really dig into every single interview, and 2 years from now, we'd all still be listening to them to see what you found, because they're all so interesting. You can get some stuff from all of them. Yeah,
agreed. And I mean, there is the work is abundant, you know. There's so much to look at. And I'm so eager to go through it, but yeah, time is short. But you know, I need to be patient. And right now, that is my thought. But maybe once I start going through it, I'll be like, I can't. I have to just go through everything. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm eager to find out what you end up deciding. Because I mean, seriously, you could do every single interview, and it could take you 3 years to do every single interview, and we would all still be watching them 3 years from now, because they're so interesting. And especially with statement analysis, it can give you a lead into factual, truthful things because of what comes out of their very own faces.
Exactly. Yeah. How they really feel about things. Yeah. I mean, it's very insightful. It's very fascinating. So I'm glad that you like it, and I appreciate the encouragement. And I know, you know, in the past, I've done a very thorough one, step by step, and then I come through and then I'll kind of do a conclusion and stuff. And, but I'm trying to figure out a good, you know, pattern, a good routine here. I am eager to go through. There's a lot of people to interview. So, but yeah.
Yeah, there is. So she says, and I don't know if
fine. Oh, yeah,
oh no, she says, I remember the cops kept asking me, were the lights on? I don't know. I mean, I could see her, but then also we had these twinkle lights that are usually always on in the living room. So like maybe those were lit up. She goes on to say, I don't know if the bathroom light was on. They kept asking me, like, was the kitchen light on? Were these lights on? I was like, honestly, I just don't know. Like, I saw her, but maybe her light was on. Maybe it wasn't. So I ran downstairs. Bethany, like, opened the door and locked it. And we talked for a little bit. I don't know what exactly we talked about, but we weren't like freaked out. We were just like, okay, this is weird. Someone's in here, but we should just try and go to bed. Freaking what?
That's insane. That's insane.
Wild. Who says that?
It's absolutely mind-boggling. Something that is really interesting, how she talks about the cops. They kept asking me. There's and the police officers were really curious about this aspect. They kept asking me. This is something I talked about when just that language. It just gives you that sense of this was annoying to her. You know, I remember the cops kept asking me. They kept asking me. That's not a good sign. You know, she was sensitive about what the cops were asking her. The other thing that I noticed is, oh joy, where was it? Like, what was the kitchen light on? Where was it? Wasn't like freaked out, right? So again, this walking this tightrope. We locked the door. Oh wait. Oh, I'm moving on. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Those are the details that I'm talking about, though. Like, okay, you remember running. You remember her opening the door, shutting the door, locking the door. You remember little details. You remember looking out the window and seeing a black truck drive by. But you can't remember a thing about the intruder, and then your excuse is because you were dreaming.
Exactly. Well, and there's also, this is actually something I was going to say, is it's interesting when she is talking about positively what she remembers, there's not a lot of self-censoring. I remember the cops kept asking me where were the lights on. I don't know. I mean, I could see her, but then also we had these twinkle lights that are usually always on in the living room. So, and then here comes the light. Maybe those were lit up. When it comes to the facts of it, then the light pops back in. You know, I got a hair in my mouth.
Yeah.
So it's just really fascinating to hear when she can speak with no hitches, no self-censoring clues, and why that is and what that's about, you know, again, versus, oh, when it seems to be, when you're not talking about what the cops are asking and stuff like that, when it's actually, hey, what did you remember, Dylan? All of a sudden, all the self-censoring and all these half, you know, segments of words come out, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah. She says, I don't know what exactly we talked about. And for me, I feel like that's a little bit of telling on herself. You might not know exactly every single word, but you know enough to know vaguely what you talked about. As soon as you ran into Bethany's room, you would know, hey, I saw this, blah, 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 blah. You might not know exactly, just like you said, but you know enough to give a little bit of detail about what the conversation was like when you ran down to Bethany's room.
Like, you're talking about one of the craziest stories in American history. You were kind of freaked out. You weren't freaked out. I don't know. You can't make up your mind, but you were freaked out enough to run down to your roommate. You can't remember what you guys talked about. Really?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
Fascinating. And she doesn't know. She makes sure to say this before the investigator, before Erin can ask, right? We talked for a little bit. As soon as she says we talked, oh, I know you're going to ask me what we talked about. I don't know what exactly we talked about, but we weren't. I can tell you what we weren't. We weren't like freaked out. So I can't tell you what we said, but I can tell you that we weren't like freaked out.
She does that. She explains what she doesn't remember and doesn't see and doesn't know more than she does what she does see and does know and does.
You said it. You said it, sister. I mean, this is exactly what I kind of like. I wanted to kind of paint this umbrella over everything is she is psychologically distancing herself from get him, Bronx, get the bad guy, get the mailman. Just kidding. She is psychologically distancing herself from her own memory. She is so much more comfortable talking about what she doesn't know and what she doesn't remember than what she actually and what she didn't see and what she didn't think. You know, she's so much more comfortable talking about that than what she did see. And this isn't a crazy person. This is someone that has a bunch of memories in her head that she really doesn't want to talk about.
Yep.
I mean, I think she's crazy for the bad things she's done, you know, the at bare minimum, the supporting of this in some way, but not crazy in the sense that she sees, she doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real.
Yeah. She goes on to say, we locked the door. We just had fallen asleep. And then I just kept like those dreams I told you about that were just like weird and didn't make sense. I don't remember when I woke up, but I remember like I texted Maddie and Kaylee and I was like, hey, are you guys up? And I wasn't worried about them. I was scared that maybe someone was in the house, but I wasn't worried. Like I was like, okay, like I'm kind of freaked out, like that was real or not. And like when I woke up, I was like, I was going through Beth and mine and Bethany's text to make sure I wasn't like just imagining this stuff. No, I think that, and this isn't statement analysis. This is just me saying, no, I think that she was going back through the texts to make sure that the staging was what it needed to be.
Same here. I agree. I mean, this is fascinating. And like when I woke up, I was like, I was going through Beth and mine and Bethany's texts. Was Bethany asleep and you were going through her texts?
Right. That's
Were
interesting.
you on her phone? Well, and who else's phone? Did you, what other text message? What did you go through victims' phones? You know?
Ooh, that's interesting.
So you went through someone else's phone other than your own. You know, that I'm not saying that that's what she's saying. Right. She could be going through her own phone and looking at mine and Bethany's texts. But she said I was going through Beth and she censored it. Yeah. And said mine and Bethany's texts. There's a reason that brain hitch was there. So to me, that's indication that she was about to give up something there.
Had she finished that sentence, it would have said, I was going through Bethany's phone. Right. That's what it looks like it's going to say.
Right. Or Bethany's texts. How would you be going through Bethany's text from your phone?
Right.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, this is just insane. I wasn't worried. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Where was it? It was, I wasn't worried about them. To say that out loud, as if you're innocent, I wasn't worried about them. They just got cut up to pieces and you were feet away. How could you say that? But right after that, I wasn't worried about them. I was scared that maybe someone was in the house. So you were scared that someone was in the house because of you? You were scared for yourself and how someone in the house would be in danger for yourself, but you weren't worried about them, the ones that died, the ones that got brutally murdered. This is such leakage of distancing language with the victims. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's so awful because I try and picture myself if this was me and that age and going through that, I would be in there saying like, I can't believe I wasn't worried about them. I cannot believe that I didn't do more. I should have called 911, you know.
This is my fault.
Right.
This is on me. Like I am, it would be clear. It would be right there. It would be, this reminds me of something Peter Hyatt, he analyzed a guy who left his, this is a horrible story, left his twin babies in the car while he went to work. And they died in the car from heat exhaustion or whatever, from the heat. And he analyzed the gentleman's statement. And all over his statement was, I killed my babies. You know, I did this. I can't believe I did this. But his statement indicated a genuine accident. You know, I dropped off the one at the childcare and I thought I'd drop all of them off. You know, that was his testimony, you know, and it was, I killed them. Like I did this. I cannot believe I did this. And he said, hey, I think it was horrible. It's not that he's innocent in the sense that, you know, he shouldn't do time or anything, but he didn't intend for this, you know? Wow. And so the same thing, we would have loved to see this from Dylan. Now, hey, I didn't intend for them to be killed or anything like that. But my lack of doing something about this led to their deaths. You know, there's nothing like that here.
Nothing.
No responsibility.
No,
The
not.
exact opposite. Cold. Just a cold-hearted demon, like demon. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there's no like, oh, I can't believe that, you know, that was Kaylee running down the stairs and I locked her out rather than pulling her in and keeping her safe, or none. She just has no connection to like caring or taking any ownership of any of it. She doesn't blame herself for anything at all.
She saw Xana there, and she looked comfortable.
Yeah, look comfortable.
Wow.
I mean, Xana had wounds all over her face. I mean, ugh. Thank you so much, JJPP. We appreciate you.
Another one.
That's awesome. She says, and I text her and I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, I text you about this. I called a few of them that morning. I don't remember how late, like if I think it was right 9 or 10ish, somewhere around that time. They weren't answering. And that's when I was like, okay, this is weird, but Maddie's location's at home. So like they're all home. And like I saw Xana, she's at home. And I kept checking Xana and Ethan's Snapchat map. Oh my God, like someone is here. Oh,
that skipped to page 79.
Okay. It turns into a different page. But what's interesting about this is she says, I saw Xana, she's at home, but I kept checking her Snapchat map. If you knew Xana was home and she's on the floor, why are you checking her Snapchat map? You know where she's at.
See, and this is exactly, Bethany really alerted me to this whole idea of tracking these people. They had the ability to track them.
Yes.
And this is leakage. Like, we were tracking them, you know. But I mean, this just makes no sense. I mean, open the door, call out to them. All you have to say is, hey, Xana, they would hear you. You could hear everything in this house. What? This is just absurd.
Yep.
Another really concerning thing she says is, that's when I was like, okay, this is weird. She had already said we were just like, this is really weird before that. It's incongruent. It's a horrible story. It makes no sense in and of itself. And then one other thing is, she uses passive language that just disgusts me. I mean, I'm sorry. It's really hard for me to go through this thing. Dylan just frustrates me so bad. I can't believe this is real life. Where she says, what did she say? I called a few of them. Where did she say that?
She does. She says, oh, I have it written down too.
I called a few of them that morning. Well, am I not correct? She said in her original interview with Mallory, I called all of them. Am I incorrect? Or maybe she said text, so maybe I'm getting that confused. But a few, like who, you know? Just I called a few of them. I don't know.
The fact that she says I called a few of them, like, why wouldn't you say I called Kaylee and Maddie, or I called Xana and Kaylee?
Specify.
But you're saying like I called a few of those people.
Yeah.
Like,
why is that there? Well, it's to show I was concerned. You know, don't look at me. Look, I have proof on my phone. I called them that morning. Look at me. I'm good. You know, I was being a good friend.
Yeah, but the way she says, I called a couple of those people, like,
yeah, no,
those
for sure.
People, them.
Exactly.
I called a few of them.
Yes,
she's talking about jelly beans or something, and not
exactly. Yes,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
holy
and I guess
crap! So much corruption
gosh.
gifted 50 memberships. We love you so much, corruption.
Wow.
We wish there wasn't so much corruption, but there is. And you're here with us and we love it. Thank you so much. You are so appreciated. Holy cow.
The only
That is
time,
incredible. I've never seen that before. I have never seen
wow, I
that.
don't
Not
know
here
that
or
I've
anywhere
seen,
else either.
that's a lot.
That's
But
a
I was
lot.
just gonna
That's
make a joke.
incredible.
That's the only so much corruption I'll tolerate right there.
Exactly. Thank you so much. That is insane. That's amazing. Wow.
Jeez. Very
Holy
kind.
cow. Very, very kind. So she goes on to say, and that's when I got up and locked the door because this skips forward onto a bunch of stuff is redacted in between here. So this skips forward into another section of the interview. Previously we were on page 39 and now we're skipping ahead to page 79.
40 pages.
40 pages
So
left
we
out of
don't
this
have
interview. Mhm. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm like speechless right now. I've never seen one of them, let alone two of them. Holy macaroni. You are so incredible. Wow. That is
Jeez.
insane.
What a kind heart.
Wow. No kidding. I love this community. Everybody's so incredible, especially so much corruption. Wow. That is just insane. I've just never seen that before. I'm a little speechless. Thank you. Holy cow. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So she says, and that's when I got up and locked the door because I was like, I'm not like, that shit freaks me out. Like thinking like someone could be here. What I'm struggling with here is this is now the third time in her interview she has said, somebody's in our house, but I'm going to sleep.
It's
You
horrible.
see a person carrying some sort of weapon, all black with a black mask, which now it's just so made up. It's ridiculous. And your thought is, I'm going to go to sleep. That's strange.
It's not real, you know?
It can't be.
Yeah, it's just not real. Either you're okay with them and you did see that, and you knew you were safe because this is someone you're unified with, or they don't exist, and so that's why you could sleep, or something like that, but not. This is someone you didn't know and you truly believe this was an intruder, and then you could just go to sleep. I mean, that's an omission. That's an admission. That's not a defense, right?
Right.
That's an admission that you are a cold-hearted, careless person. That is, and again, it's like I just don't believe that. I don't believe that she is just crazy and like, wow, she can sleep when intruders are in her house. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
It's impossible to believe. And based on her phone data, she didn't sleep.
Tinfoil Hat says, remember the picture of Xana and Dylan at the Halloween party, and Xana's arm is around Dylan. Zoom in on the picture and look at Dylan's face and Xana's hand. Very telling why DM hated Xana. I'll have to check it out after the live for sure. Thank you for bringing that to my attention because now I'm curious what's going on in that picture. All right. So she goes on to say, and that's when I got up and locked the door because I was like, I'm not like, that shit freaks me out. Like thinking like someone could be here, but I wasn't like, I just remember locking my door, looking at my door handle. And like before all this, like obviously when she said someone's here, I just hear her like footsteps going really fast and it just stopped. And I don't remember hearing anything else. Like I don't remember hearing anyone come down the stairs. This was the kind of like, now that I'm thinking about it, like the past little bit, just like thinking like how would I have not heard someone walking downstairs? That doesn't really make sense. I do have something on this, but now I have to find it. Oh, she said, when she says, I just remember locking my door, looking at my door handle. And my thought was, this is explained as happening immediately following Kaylee going up the stairs saying someone's here. So this is now changed, that when than what she described earlier. This is sensory memory. The details are concrete. The problem here is that previous to this statement, all previous interviews, she repeated how foggy she was from sleeping and drinking, still drunk, still half asleep, and even possibly dreaming. Yet here she is describing a concrete action of Kaylee screaming, someone's here. I just remember shutting my door, locking my door, and staring at the handle.
Excuse me. Yep, exactly. No, that's such a great point. And to your point, she says in her first interview, she reiterates this account, something like it. And then she says, I don't remember anything after that, and she appeals to, I was just so out of it. And even in her first interview, even after saying, I don't remember anything after that, the investigator actually pulled out more after that. This is just a telltale sign. I mean, if you want to know, if you are concerned that someone is lying, you just have them reiterate their testimony over and over and over again. And if they can continuously reiterate the same story, it's one good indication that it's the truth. The truth doesn't bend and evolve. That's what lies do. So,
yep. All right, we will do. We'll finish this page, and then I guess we'll just have to do a part 3 and finish the whole thing.
Yeah, we're like 19 out of 35, so we still got quite a ways to go.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do a part 3. All right, so she goes on to say that was the kind of, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like the past little bit, just like thinking like how would I have not heard someone walking downstairs? That doesn't really make sense. Like, that's just kind of weirds me out. I don't remember him coming, like whoever that was, coming downstairs at all. And there was never like screaming or like, help me. There's none of that ever. And like, maybe there was, but my mind blocked it out. But from what I remember, there was none of that, which is like kind of weirding me out. Like, I remember me and Bethany were talking, like we never heard any of that. So it's like, why didn't we hear any of that? Like, that just kind of weirds me out. I feel like people would be screaming, but we never heard any of that. Aw, Angel, thank you so much. Please split this with Travis. I don't do Venmo yet, but I do appreciate his views. Love all these people, and I love you, Logan. I don't mean to bitch sometimes, but I've been feeling this case for so long, and it's draining sometimes. We'll get them. Thank you so much, Angel. I absolutely will split it with Travis. Absolutely not a problem. We appreciate you. We both appreciate you so much.
Wow.
This case is draining. It is draining, but it's draining, and it makes you want to keep going all at the same time because you feel like I'm going to find something. I need the truth. But yeah, we absolutely appreciate you. And I get it, girlfriend. You are not a problem. Not a problem.
Thank you so much.
In this statement, for me, this is a huge statement. She says over and over, weirds me out. She says, I remember Bethany and I were talking. She says that twice. Yeah. Then she says, I don't remember him coming. And she stops herself and she says, whoever that was.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Go for it.
Oh, him.
It's like personal, right?
Yes. Not the piece of crap, not the intruder. Him.
Yep.
I don't remember him coming. That sounds like someone you know.
And had she just finished that sentence, it probably would have been fine. But the fact that she had to stop and correct herself, she knew that she was talking about maybe somebody that she knew, or Her protector, right?
Her brain, she has alerted to us that her brain was starting to say things, and she did not like how it was. This is the speed of transmission. This is what we're talking about. This is so relevant to statement analysis right there. She has alerted us that she didn't like how that was coming out, and she was giving it away, and she did give it away. I mean, it's just hard not to put Peter there, in my mind right now. And that might be recency bias. That might just be because I just did do Peter.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it's singular. It is interesting that it's a singular person there. I'm very curious how many were involved and how many were in this house. But at least in this time, she was thinking of a singular person.
Yep. And what I also find, there's like 3 or 4 things I find interesting just in this paragraph. She says, him coming, then she stops herself, and then she says, there's no screaming and there's no help me and and then she says, maybe there was, but my mind blocked it out.
Is that later?
Say that if there wasn't?
Is that later?
No, that's right here. It's on line 23 on page 79.
Go ahead. What were you going to say about that? I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, you're fine. It's like she says, maybe there was, but my mind blocked it out. If you knew for a fact you didn't hear that ever, nobody screamed, nobody said, help me, nothing, you wouldn't say, maybe there was, but my mind blocked it out. You would never say that. You would say, I know I didn't hear anybody scream. How come nobody screamed? Nobody said anything. No, that's not what she says. She tells us.
It's really creepy. It's very cryptic to read through that. This is something that I, copied and pasted a lot of this stuff over to my own little thing, and I put that in red. And I think this is clever. There is some cleverness to say this. That, my mind just blocked it out. Because she knows this is a big problem. She knows screaming was there. And this is a big problem in her testimony. And so she just floats it out there like, maybe there was, maybe I will allow for that in my story, but my mind blocked it out. And that's what happened.
Right.
It's very clever. It's a clever way to be deceptive about that. And if she showed concern for the victims, I might listen to her more. But not only is she not concerned, she is cold-hearted about the victims. So, and maybe you are blocking this out. Maybe this is something. Maybe you are blocking all this out, Dylan, because that's the only way you can survive from here on out. This is the only way that you can live with yourself, is you block this out with every fiber of your being, because it's too hard for you to stomach. The guilt is too great to bear.
Yep. She goes on to say, what was the next one? I remember me and Bethany were talking, like we never heard any of that. So it's like, why didn't we hear any of that? Like, that just kind of weirds me out. I feel like people would be screaming, we never heard any of that. She literally calls her deceased roommates who went through a horrific death. She calls them people.
Absolutely.
Those people.
Oh,
that blew me away when I saw that. Blew me away.
See, you're seeing it. You see it. This is intense psychological distancing with the victims. This is cold. This is talking about these victims in a very passive way. There's no persons. There are no identities here. They're just people. It's depersonalizing. There we go. There's a Peter Hyatt word. It's depersonalizing the victims.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the word they, I have like a little fruit fly from my dang pineapple and it's driving me nuts.
Same
Even
here.
even her using the word they would have been so much better than the word people. Those people. It's like derogatory almost. It's
Oh, it is.
it's like she's talking down on that. It just blew
Yes.
me away that she said that in a dang interview.
But it's so insightful as to her psychology, as to how she felt about these people. If anyone wants to come and argue, hey, Dylan is, I'm going to defend Dylan to you. Okay, then you need to interact with those words right there. You need to interact with the fact that fruit fly don't bother me. I got a fruit fly flying around too. They are insane. We are struggling to keep them down in our household. I'll tell you what. Do you know about the apple cider vinegar though?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Apple cider vinegar and Dawn dish soap.
Just a drop of Dawn, yeah. So I have that everywhere now. But it doesn't smell the most pleasant, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you want to defend Dylan, you need to interact with those words and help me understand how that kind of depersonalization of the victims is support for your argument, because it ain't.
It's almost like her saying, well, I didn't do anything to help them because they weren't screaming. They didn't say, help me. They didn't. So those people died. That's what I'm picturing her brain doing. It's so awful. So awful.
Yeah, the poor decisions she made, man. You can see that she is being, I don't know, to me, I feel like I can just see it. She is being tortured by this guilt and the burden that she's bearing. I just don't think we were meant to bear that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think we should, I'm going to put a marker where we left off.
That's a good idea.
This time. So we're on page 80, line 7.
Okay, perfect.
And we will have to come back and do the rest of it. Real quick, I want to share Bronx's buddy of the day. Where are we at? Here we go. Okay. 2 seconds. This is Bronx's buddy of the day. This is Miss Angel, the little Chihuahua. And this is Brock. He's I think he's a weenie dog. And her favorite word is treats. And no, her favorite word is kisses, which I think is just adorable. And his favorite word is treats. She is she's a rescue and she is 10 years old. Angel is. He's a, how do you say that word? Dachshund. Okay. That's what he is. He was rescued as well. So they're both rescue. So we thank our people that rescue animals. That's so freaking amazing. This is Angel and this is Brock. And these are Brock's buddies of the day.
Awesome.
Yes. Always so cute. All right. So we will have to plan to do part 3. I think we should be able to get through it with part 3. You think so?
Absolutely. I just need to talk less and we can get through.
No, I love it. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be talking about it.
Okay. All right.
That's the whole game. That's the whole idea.
I'll try my best to find the sweet spot here so we can get through 15 more pages.
All right, guys. We are going to stop here and we will plan a date for doing part 3. I just want to thank you, Travis, for coming on and doing such an amazing job all the freaking time. Please thank your family for us. Thank you to everybody who gifted tonight. We appreciate you so, so much. And of course, to our mods who are so amazing and keep up with this super fast chat sometimes. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow for Mason Barstow's interview. So we got that in, and we will be playing it tomorrow. So make sure and tune in at 5:30 for Mason Barstow that we finally got. Yay. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. 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 Bronx on the scene, nose to the ground, reads every scratch, every step, every sound. Dust on the boot, mud on the cuff, one wrong move and he calls you bluff. He found a lie in the turn of a face, found a fresh print in an empty place. Tell up high when the story won't blend, he don't bark loud, he just gets close. Damn, sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, BronxTails, chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. Hey, hey. Idaho nights cold, over the floor, 4 names heavy in the whole town. So Bronx in the weeds where the silence stayed, digging for proof in the tracks it made. He found the gap in the masked up tail, found the bent clue in the buried trail. Bone white truth in the folder stack, one clean set and the case swings back. Sniffing out facts, no room for slack. Truth in the crack, now we don't look back. BronxTails, BronxTails, chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose. One paw print, one torn thread, one false alibi, falls dead. Chasing truth through the rails. BronxTails, BronxTails, corruption slips then fails. Sniffing out facts, uncaging the truth. Corruption on a tight leash, and he's pulling it loose.